This is a good track for you.
Is it?
6 straight top 10 finishes.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
But that 88 is pulled away.
Earnhardt, Johnson, Menard, Blaney, third-generation star Dale Earnhardt Jr. brings him to the flag. Checkered flag waving. It's over. It's Earnhardt. Earnhardt trying to cover all spots.
Oh, yeah! Good job, Junebug.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Checkered flag at Talladega.
Why is this one so much fun? Because your grin told so many stories on your cool-down lap.
It's just real emotional. I haven't won here in a long time. It was my daddy's birthday a couple days ago. Just real emotional, man.
My nerd world.
Well, and it seems like I'm saying this every week. And one of these weeks, I won't have to say this. But when you're down, the only place you can go is up. And that certainly is the case as Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Exalta and Nationwide 88 team head to a bizarrely, it is kind of bizarre, a newly repaved Texas Motor Speedway that I was kind of, well, I guess I'm still excited about it. I was more excited about it until I actually saw the cars get on the track and everybody was sliding all over the place because they were pushing it and the track was as slick as glass apparently. And then not nearly as excited when Dale Jr. didn't get through pre-qualifying inspection and didn't get a chance to qualify the car and will start 37th on Sunday. But like I just said, the only place that we can go is up. Welcome to the Dale Jr. Race Preview Podcast for My Nerd World. I am your host, John Justice. This week, we will look back briefly at Martinsville. Quite a bit of merchandise news, at least more so than the past several weeks we've had. We'll talk about the repave, and then I'll give you my prediction of what I expect Dale Earnhardt Jr. to do on Sunday. I think that I probably would have been fairly close to nailing my prediction last week if we hadn't gotten caught up in that wreck. The car was good, and there were moments where I thought, well, one, he had the fastest race car on the track, and I thought, wow, we keep running like this the rest of the day and maintain our track position, then we have the opportunity to actually go and win this thing. And then just through a series of unfortunate events, but the stuff that happens at Martinsville, there wasn't anything really that the drivers did wrong. I mean, I think he had one pit road speeding penalty coming off of pit lane, and that happens. We can't afford to have any mistakes like that. But even then, it ended up putting Dale Jr. in a position where he could, gain on track position by not pitting and going easy on the tires for a couple of laps before the next break. We even got caught up in a spin and survived that. And it just, that one being back in the pack, got caught up in a wreck and, ended up torpedoing the radiator. And if you listened to Dale Jr.'s Dirty Mo Radio Dale Jr. download, you would have heard him make a comment that if they had been able to pull it into the pits and there wasn't the 5-minute clock, he was fairly convinced they could have got back on. They may have lost a lap, but he was convinced they probably could have got back on track and continued racing and may have been somewhat competitive. But because of the way the rules are now, there was just no way that they could go and do what they needed to do on pit road. And they had to go and take it to the garage. And because they had to take it to the garage, that meant that they were out of the race. And, Dale Jr. was very still supportive of the way the rules were, even though it bit him in the butt. And the same thing kind of happened in qualifying this week too, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. But we just can't seem to get out of our own way. And I mean, what else do you say except that, again, saying there's no place to go but up. The team is still very, very positive, and it's a long season, and I'd rather be in I'm trying to look for the good in all of this. I guess I would rather not be in this position. But the good news is they're not getting down. It's not like we're going out and we're finishing like we were a couple of weeks before, where we're finishing in 12th and 13th and 16th, and we can't get up there. Martinsville was a fast car and was a top 5 car easily. And we just got snake bit. looking at this week, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Dale Jr. just now tweeted, and I'm really encouraged by what he tweeted. So I will give this to you in just a moment. But I am very much encouraged by what Dale Jr. just said about Texas Motor Speedway. So we'll get to this in a second. First off, though, let's talk a bit about merchandise before we get into the race preview portion of the podcast. And we also have some paint scheme news, too. So if you go to NASCAR.com, there are some new T-shirts available, and you can get a preview of a paint scheme, and I don't know where he's going to run it yet. So on NASCAR.com, there's a brand new T-shirt up, and it's a patriotic-themed T-shirt. The car featured on the shirt is the standard nationwide paint scheme. We're running the Exalta paint scheme again this weekend, and I think the next race after Easter, which I think is Bristol, we're running the standard paint scheme for nationwide. We haven't run it in quite a few weeks now. So there is a T-shirt that's got a patriotic graphics on it with the standard nationwide paint scheme. But there also are T-shirts and diecast cars that have the cover over them for what they're calling just the patriotic paint scheme. If you look at your podcast, or if you look at this podcast on Podbean, there are photos of the patriotic paint scheme, not all of it. You can only see a very small portion of it. And the Philadelphia Eagles paint scheme that we'll talk about here in a moment that Dale Jr. is going to run at Pocono. Also on the website, you can pre-order the Darlington throwback paint scheme, even though they haven't unveiled it yet. And from what Dale Jr. said, that paint scheme is supposed to be awesome. He's really excited about the Darlington paint scheme this year. But again, they haven't unveiled it yet. So if you go to My Nerd World, John, Jon Justice on Podbean, you can see, and it might even pop up in the notes if you're listening on iTunes. It might even pop up in the notes section on iTunes when you hit the logo and it flips and you see the notes, because I did embed those photos. You should be able to see the preview of the patriotic paint scheme and the Philadelphia Eagles paint scheme. For those that don't know, and I'm assuming you do, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is, as I explained it to my wife, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is to the Washington Redskins what I am to Dale Jr. I mean, he's that big of a Washington Redskins fan. He took to Periscope this week because he is going to have to drive a Philadelphia Eagles paint scheme. And he took to Periscope to basically explain why he was going to have to drive this paint scheme. And he was embarrassed and frustrated. It was kind of funny, actually. It's for a teachers honoring teachers program that the Philadelphia Eagles are doing. And so that's why he's running that paint scheme. It's a decent-looking paint scheme. I mean, it looks kind of like what a Philadelphia Eagles 88 paint scheme would look like. The Philadelphia Eagles sort of forest green with the Eagles logo on it. It also has the saluting the teachers logo on it as well. But it was pretty funny. And if you get a chance to go and check that Periscope out of Junior earlier this week, explaining to his fans and to his buddies on the Washington Redskins why he has to run a Philadelphia Eagles paint scheme. It's pretty funny. I would encourage you to go and check it out. So check out both those that paint scheme is also available on Podbean as well if you want to go and take a look at it. So let's move over to Texas Motor Speedway, not waste any time. I was a big fan of this racetrack. I like racing it on NASCAR 15, and also, which I'm getting used to now, NASCAR, was it NASCAR Heat? What are they calling it? I can't remember what they're calling it now. But the newest NASCAR game, right? I mean, I play it, for crying out loud. NASCAR Heat Evolution. There you go. It's not the newly configured one, but I like the old version. It's kind of like Atlanta. It's kind of like Charlotte. But they've repaved it, and if you've been watching practice, it's really kind of bizarre. They widened out turns 1 and 2 more akin to, say, like Michigan, and then they added more bankings to turn 3 and 4. When the track ends up wearing a bit, when there's some age on it, maybe next year, I think, do we go back to Texas? I don't think it'll be good I don't think it'll be good later in the year. But when there's a year or two on the track, I think it has the potential to be really cool. That for turns 1 and 2 are wide enough where you should be able, like Michigan, to run 3 and 4 wide through there and still be able to have enough momentum coming off the corner. That's just not the case this weekend by any stretch. It looks like it's going to be a single groove track, and the Xfinity race is actually getting ready to start right now. I'm really curious to see what happens in the Xfinity race today, based off of what we saw in practice and what we saw in qualifying. Plus, if you were paying attention to qualifying, you'll know that Dale Jr. never had a chance to run in qualifying. The pre-race inspection was long. Apparently, a bunch of cars were flagged and had to run through again. So a handful of drivers didn't end up with the opportunity to go back out on the track and qualify. So he's going to start 37th. The only positive takeaway is, one, Dale Jr. didn't seem to care. He was interviewed afterwards, understood the rules. He's like, it is what it is. It's a long race. We got all day. It's not fun when you got to start that far back. However, he will have fresher tires than the rest of the field. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. Drivers and teams during practice were going out and scuffing quite a few tires. So, I don't think sticker tires are the way to go. But he will start the race on sticker tires. It is a long race. There's going to be a lot of wrecks. And it's just going to be very, very... The drivers are going to be very trepidatious. And those that push it... I mean, when you got Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott, who else? Kyle Busch. I mean, when you got those dudes spinning out, right? Hardly pushing it, then you know it's going to be a bit of a scary drive. So I'm worried about it from the angle of, we don't want Junior to wreck again. At the same time, I do believe that he's been driving a little cautious, so maybe it'll end up benefiting us. Dale Jr. just tweeted out 9 minutes ago, the car was good again in final practice, number 1 in average lap time. There are some others running well, but we are one of them, thumbs up. So, this brings me to the prediction part of the podcast. And this is tough, man, because I've been off all year. I don't think I've nailed one. I don't think I've nailed one within a couple of positions yet. I'm going to go overly optimistic. I'm going to do it, and I know it's going to bite me, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to say that Dale Jr. brings home a top 5. I think that the team is getting their act together. They faced a lot of adversity. When you face a lot of adversity, there is some good to come of that. Also a sort of nothing to lose mentality. You go out, there is something to say you get more relaxed. You're so far down that, you're not putting a ton of pressure on yourself. That can go the other way as well, but this team does seem relaxed. And Dale Jr. seems really happy with the race car. And then when you look at the average lap time, number 1 in average lap time, he was good in both practices today. They made huge gains on Friday. I think he could have qualified easily in the top 10 based off of some of his single lap speeds in both practices today. So I'm going to call Dale Jr. top 5 at the newly repaved Texas Motor Speedway. Plus, it'll be a nice story, too, being that this is the place where Junior got his first win, albeit on the older configuration of track. But it looks like they've got a good car underneath them, and we're going to have to avoid the wrecks. We're going to have to avoid spinning out ourselves, and we're going to have to make sure that we've got good pit stops. We don't speed on pit road, no mistakes. One of these days, we're going to put together a solid race, and I think it'll be this weekend. Why not? Right? And this would be a good time too. We come home with the top 5, head into the Easter off weekend with a little bit of momentum, and then we're at Bristol, another track that Dale Jr. loves. So I'm excited going into tomorrow's race, despite all the difficulties, especially because of the fact that he's got a good car. That gets me really excited for tomorrow. So I'm going with top 5 for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that beautiful number 88 to Axalta Chevrolet. Thank you so much once again for checking out the podcast. Again, you can always email me, talkshownerd@gmail.com. Find me on Twitter @JohnJONJustice. You can find the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and Podbean. We'll take